Welcome to Mehetable YouTube channel. My name is Faith Gushu, a counseling psychologist. Today we'll talk about the 5 grief personalities. It is important to know the 5 grief personalities because they help us understand how our brothers and sisters mourn death differently. I'll start with the seeker. When someone dies, they go looking for a spiritual for spiritual knowledge to understand the reason the person has left them, and this they can get deeper into believe in a spiritual power. That is one. We have the normalizer. Normalizer, when someone dies, they learn through the death of that person that they need to make things right. They can mend relationships. They can go back to doing things that they were not able to do when that person died. They can also embrace change in I ought, because they self-reflect a lot. I ought to have been there for my significant other more. Maybe I wasn't there more. So they start normalizing or making things different so that they don't feel guilty in case something else happened. Those are 2. The third one is an activist. I'll give an example of when someone dies of a heart condition, when someone dies of cancer. The children that are left, or the people who are left, one of them, if he or she is an activist, they will form foundations later in their lives, and they tell themselves, I wouldn't want anyone to go through what my parent went through, what my husband went through, what my child went through. So they form foundations, or they are very active in ensuring that people do not die of a condition that their significant other died of. And that's why we see cancer foundations, we see heart foundations, we see many foundations that are formed mostly by the activists, but of course they are not the only ones who form foundations. Those are 3. Then we have the memorialist. These are the people who enjoy anniversaries. They could even be monthly. When someone dies like today, they will celebrate their death the next month until on and on and on and on. They don't mind having their clothes in the closet. They don't mind having their clothes in the same room. They don't mind having the pictures on the wall, because that doesn't affect them, because they are able to process their grief when seeing the person's personal items. And let me give you an example of something that happened when I visited someone who had lost a wife. This family member didn't have a problem with the portraits of the wife being displayed on in the table room. But the children thought these pictures were affecting the dad. But the dad was very okay because he's a memorialist. But the others were maybe seekers or normalizers. When we lose like our children, or when you lose our significant others, we have relatives who are very busy removing the things from the wardrobe, giving out our stuff without asking for our permission. When someone dies and you're helping them to process the death, it is important to ask them how they would want, and if they would want to dispose the clothes, for example, to remove the portraits from, or the pictures from the wall. It is important to ask them, because we all mourn differently. So this man was getting very irritated because the children were not able to understand that for him, it didn't matter what was on the wall. It didn't matter what was in the wardrobe. What mattered was the fact that he had lost a significant person in his life. So we have the normalizer, we have the seeker, we have the activist, we have the memorialist, and finally we have the nomads. Who are the nomads? The nomads go through the grief process from denial, anger, bargaining, depression to acceptance. When they are about to accept, then it's like a relapse, because they mourn in a wheel. They go back to denial. You can be having a nomad in a counseling sessions. So when they come back, asking you on the last session why their person died, it's important to realize they could be nomads, where they will transition through that, and sometimes there's a relapse. So when we are mourning our significant others, it is important to understand how your brother mourns, how your sister mourns, how your wife mourns, how your husband mourns, and how your relatives mourn, so that we can give time enough for people to process their losses differently. That is all for today. Kindly subscribe, share, and comment. Thank you.